Welcome, everybody, to the Independent Mind Podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I am DJ Mixwell, and I am with my boy, Giovanni. How are you doing, my guy?
Doing great, man. I'm excited about today's host. Someone that we had, a slight past with, and we've seen a lot of good things coming from him. So I'm excited to see what sort of insight he can bring. And he also came up in last episode, Joshua Herrick.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Living life.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear it, man.
Yep. So, we're happy to have you on. Like Giovanni said, we brought you up in the past couple conversations off camera, and then brought you up on the last episode or 2 episodes ago, whenever we had Devin on.
Okay.
So why don't you, for people who may not know, why don't you give us just a little background about who you are?
My name's Josh, and born and raised right here in Vegas. A little bit of a different background. I'm not from your neighborhood, or suburban neighborhood in any community, really. Mom passed when I was a little young, and I got adopted a little later on. I was about 16 by somebody that we went to high school with. I met him in junior high. His family took me in and kind of treated me as their own. I'm still pretty close to them, to the day, but that's how I ended up at Arbor and ended up running into you two.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought that up, let's just start it from there, and talk about whatever you feel comfortable with. Your mom passes away, and I'm very sorry to hear that as well.
Okay.
And you get adopted. When that happens, where do you think that started setting you up, like mindset wise, and how do you think that all shaped you to who you are today?
Honestly, I was pretty oblivious to everything going on. I'm gonna be real with you. I was 9 when she passed, so I was pretty young. Not like I was very mindful of my future or what I kind of wanted to keep doing or anything like that. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have fun, And when she passed, my dad was really strict. We really didn't get along too well, but he was all about like your future. And my dad's side of the family, they're all about your future. And you're going to go to college, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Well, we didn't have a same mindset. So I ended up getting put in this group home when I was 10. And it was all about, going to a good school. So I went to Our Lady of Las Vegas. And, a lot of the kids in the group home went to Bishop Gorman. So they put us in these good environments to learn and really kind of be the best that we could be. So that's where I started to there's a future besides being a kid, So that's when I kind of started getting mindful a little bit more, I should say, of what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be, is more what I should say.
That's interesting. Yeah. On a side note too, our friend, I think, rented a house that you had the group home in, and we partied the hell out of it in that house.
Yeah, no, I talked to him the other day about it. I was like, dude, that's crazy. And he was like, dude, you want to come see it? And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I've seen it on the Snap. I've seen it on the Instagram stories. Like, I've seen that house, And it's cool. It's cool to see that it was used like that because, man, I'm telling you, we woke up every Saturday. We were deep cleaning that house. Like, I mean, the fridge, the oven, we were deep cleaning every window, the lawn mowing, we were doing everything that we could. So it was kind of crazy. All of a sudden it was just a party house. I'm like, that's lit. It lived up to what it needed to be. It was a big ass house for no reason.
It's a big ass house.
You see that's actually like really interesting. Like often whenever you hear of like a group home, especially for juveniles, it seems to have like a really bad image as far as what gets produced out of there, how they're teaching the kids, how they're treating the kids, how they're setting them up for the future. It seems like you got quite lucky and got put into one that actually gives a damn about these kids' future. And like you mentioned that you were about 10, 11 years old where you started to think about the future. I feel like that's a pretty powerful tool that came out of something very devastating. Right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's always the way I've kind of looked at it. There's government funded, group homes and foster cares, things like that, where people had it way worse than I did. So I never really kind of looked down at like, damn, you had a you had a bad past, or damn, this could have gone right, or, you know, your mom could still be around, things like that, you know. And overall, I got blessed being put in a group home that was literally a nonprofit organization where their main goal was to focus on kids. And if it wasn't for that house, for those 6 years that I kept it, you know, I was able to live in it, then I would be a completely different person, easily a different person.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like some of like the teachings that your dad was pushing on you from an early age, as far as focusing on the future, being successful, like planning.
Yeah.
How do you feel like a lot of those teachings are imprinted in you, as far as leading you to the man that you're becoming now?
Definitely have a lot of memories related to it. Like, you know, like I'll sit back and I'll have a flashback. You know, you'll be chilling, smoking, you know, burning one. You'll be bullshitting about life, you know. So yeah, like I would say that they definitely stuck with me, whether it be good or bad. You know, me and my dad seeing on different perspectives, especially me being so young, and my mom not really being around too much when she was around. She was more of an alcoholic, and that's the reason why she passed. So I didn't have that like structure, and all of a sudden he's this Marine vet, you know, that fought in Nam, and he's like, no, this is structure.
God damn.
So it definitely hit home. Like I think about what he says to me a lot, actually.
That's interesting, man. Like I pretty much grew up without a father. My dad was thrown in jail from age 5. I remember sitting on his lap when the house was getting swarmed by FBI, and like
That's crazy.
just sitting there like, man, should I let out the pit bull to take down these FBI agents so me and my dad can get away? And like, you know, looking back, it's like, fuck, man, like a 5-year-old would be thinking that's kind of insane.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that the difficulties of having one parent, it seems like we have polar opposites here, where you had, you know, a super, super strong dad figure that was like too much, and then I had a mom figure that was trying to fill that dad figure while trying to keep a house afloat, and which led to me being reckless because I didn't have that hard hand. I needed that hard hand. So that's actually really, really interesting. So it seems like you had, you know, that seems to summarize like your childhood. I'm sure there's a lot more funny tales.
Oh yeah.
But what led to you? What led you to where you are now? And as far as the profession that you're doing right now, tell people what it is and what direction you're heading with it.
Okay, so pretty much in high school, I started off in selling. You know, I was selling something all the time, and so due to that, I kind of developed a natural selling tactic. You know, and just I can bullshit with almost anybody, which is an important part of selling. But I started in like clothing, so it was suits at Men's Warehouse, and I wasn't really a salesman, but I like watched people do it, and I was a clerk. I would ring people up, you know, store bitch. And then I ended up taking a job at an electric store, speaker store, excuse me, called Bose. And then that's when I was really like selling stuff like on the fly, like, oh, here's these speakers. This is what it does. This is how it does it, you know, really in depth. And then I got into suit sales, right? So when I got into suit sales, I was like, yeah, I think I made it. Like, this is where I'm chilling. Like, I get to dress nice. I get to walk in these fancy buildings and look professional, you know, and I was making 100% commission at the time. So I thought I was making really good money for my age. Maybe about 6 months later, I ended up finding out that my girlfriend that I just started seeing was pregnant. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is sustainable for a long time. So I ended up making the switch to insurance because my brother Mark worked at an Allstate, and he was able to leverage me in with his boss, who ended up being a really cool guy. He paid for my license, got me on board. And then I worked for him for a little bit. And then I switched over to a different agency where this guy was top dog in our state, I'd like to say. I was there for the last 4 years, and ended up making the switch over to where I'm at now, called Goosehead Insurance, where we're an independent insurance broker. And we're more focused on like the client's aspect rather than the insurance company's aspect, because we aren't obligated to just one person. You know, we're able to level the playing field for our clients. So it's pretty cool. That's my sales career into being an insurance agent.
There's so many valuable tools that goes into learning sales. Like, as you know, like I just now got into real estate, and before that, you know, I owned a business, and I also worked just regular 9 to 5s for a time. And I found like the skills of sales, like you mentioned, communicating, being able to bullshit with anybody. That is genuinely a skill that
Oh
requires
yeah.
training, fine tuning, practicing. And it's something that is very, shit, what's the word? It translates to many other fields, many different opportunities.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like once you the thing that I had to learn was like once you can sell yourself, you can sell anything. You know what I'm saying? And like not what you're useful at, like what you bring to the field, and just you as an individual. And once you're able to sell yourself and you can confidently sell yourself, you can sell anything on the market.
That's interesting. So this is kind of going a little bit deeper into it. So you mentioned you were doing, you did suits, you did bows,
Yeah,
and
the
then
speakers. I
yes,
did
and
like
what was the first one?
so
Men's
I worked at
Warehouse.
Men's Warehouse. Yeah, so it
Right.
was like suits, except I was like cashier.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you want this
yeah,
tie? Do. Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so something like Men's Warehouse, and then with bows and
Mm-hmm.
with the other suit business, it's one where
Hugo Boss.
people are walking in, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
walking in, they already have an idea they want to buy something, and you're just referring them to things, whether you have product knowledge to be able to help them or be able to sway them to maybe spend a little bit more. But now you're in an insurance business where sure you may have some walk-ins, but a lot of it I'd assume comes from either referral or from people reaching out to you directly. So
Yeah.
the field of marketing, like there is a little bit different now. Am I right? As far as how you're
It,
getting clientele.
yeah, definitely. So like you honestly could not walk in my office and sit down with me and buy insurance. It's not going to happen. It's not the way my office is set up. It's not the way my company is set up. We on a normal way to look at it is like say an Allstate, right? Where I worked. That agency owner is normally purchasing leads, and a lead is like an internet lead, right? So something you fill out on Facebook, Snapchat, or just typing in the Geico, like who can find me a better price, So when you're filling those out, that company is taking that information that you are putting it down. They're putting it on a lead, is what they call them, each case, and they sell them off in bundles and bunches to these insurance agents or insurance companies, and then they kind of just assort them out to the different person. You make those calls. That's how that happens.
Is that how
We
you're
don't
getting
do
your
that.
leads now?
No, not at all. That's the reason why I've actually just started marketing myself a little bit more, and the reason why you guys have seen me so much more active on Facebook. So the company I work for now, we actually target lenders. So I reached out to you when I first started because you're a real estate agent. You're in that home buying process where I want to intervene and help the client make sure that we're matching what they need coverage wise, making sure their assets are protected, and that it's a smooth transition for you as well as the client through the closing process.
And what sort of insurance do you guys offer?
Personal lines, so homeowners, auto insurance, umbrella, boat insurance, you name it. We really do
Yeah.
everything except small appetite commercial, small appetite, or no appetite, I should say, for life insurance, anything like that, life or health.
Gotcha. And that's where like I would assume like if you bring in your own lead, you bring in your own client, you're making more money. And that kind of translates over to it's a very business mindset. Whether you're working that
Yeah.
9 to 5 and you're working for, a corporate giant, or just in your case, it may be a small corporation. I don't know the overhead of Goosehead. No pun intended. But
No, you're
at the
good.
end of the day, like it translates over to the same mindset that business owner would have. It's like you are your product. You have a product that you're trying to sell, and you need to
Yeah.
attract people to it. And you're doing that currently by social media. As far as it's very light work too. Like I noticed, like your branding online doesn't scream like insurance, right? It's like very gradual. It's just more like you're keeping on top of people's mind. Um,
Yeah.
what strategies are you doing to get that? Or is that something, are you like reading any books? Are you following any online lectures, any online
You
courses?
know, So there's a mentor mindset or mindset mentor. I don't know if you guys listen to it. It's a podcast, and I think it's been really helpful. It just kind of gives me a different topic that they talk about daily for me to just really kind of digest, is what I should say, and just kind of like try to incorporate whatever's positive into my life. But I watch a little bit of YouTube videos on just how to Facebook market. But other than that, like I've been just trying to take a very basic and a me approach to it, because there's a million sites where you can log in and pay a company to automatically pre-fill some information and make that post at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, every Wednesday. You can do that all you want, but like it's really impersonal. It's like there's no like, how was your weekend, and being real about it. Like I went to Utah on a spontaneous trip, took my daughter and my wife. We took some great pictures. So I posted them, how was your weekend? We went hiking. It's not, I want your business. Give me your money. Me. Because it's not like what all being a business is about. Like, yeah, it's all about capital gain and you want to make money, but you got to be personal along the way. Like everybody is an individual. Everybody knows everybody's trying to make money. So just be a person about it.
I
Don't
feel
be a
like
computer.
that's something that a lot of people don't seem to do that can actually help them a lot more, is by making things more personal. Like you said, when you're just trying to scream money, 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 come to me, you kind of like, you end up detouring a lot of people away from you. Then if you're posting something personal, like taking your family on a hike, or, we did this, how was your week? And kind of just drawing up other conversations. It's such a smart thing to do. How did you, what was it, those podcasts that was starting to, like the one that you mentioned, was that starting to click for you to do those personal things? And what made you kind of like start getting more on to start pushing your company like that, I guess? Like, was it?
Well, it was just like, I can make a lot of money in what I do. Insurance is a government regulated thing that you have to have. Giovanni knows that if you buy a house, you've got a mortgage on it, you have to have insurance. Okay. It's just something that you're never going to go without having. It's almost like the third most certain thing that you're going to have to pay throughout your life. So when I was taking the approach from leaving Allstate, right, and having to like randomly cold call people and just be like, damn, I'm over this. Like I'm sitting in the same desk for 4 years. I found this company. They're the largest insurance broker in the United States, and they've got their own like training program, which has been super helpful. So they flew me out to Texas for a week, and that was really great. But with this being, it's my own business. I build my own book of build business. So you become my client. You're my client every time you renew. So I'm going to pay more attention. I'm going to care because you're my client. I'm making money. I'm making residuals off you. I never made residuals previously. So it made me so much more hungry at the success I can reach. Like I've seen it done successfully for 5 years. I want to take my own approach to it, and be that familiar household name for insurance. Like, oh, who'd you get insurance through? Oh, you already know. I talked to Josh last week. Got my cars taken care of. Shit, my price went up. Let me get Josh on the phone. Josh's service team will take care of it. That kind of thing, So when I knew that I could take that opportunity and keep a client for 5 or 6 years and actually care about that person and properly protect that person instead of like dropping their coverages to save them $2, and actually like explain things, like I'd take a pride in it, So I was like, I'm gonna push this. I'm gonna see how far I can go and make as much money as I can in the process, which is really what matters,
Fuck yeah, that's dope. Giovanni?
Yeah. So at this new job, you have more residual income than the
Yeah.
previous one, or is it?
Yeah. So the way it works with the previous Allstate I was at is he owns his own business, and I'm pretty much like an independent contractor that works for him. So he pays me whatever he sees fit. And there's like a commission ranking at that particular office where we had to like continuously rise. You got a little bit more of a percentage. At the end of the day, though, I was there for 4 years and I never made one residual. So I had clients that were there for 4 years that I had never made money on again. and I was doing customer service and all these other things.
Oh man.
So it sucked, So
Yeah.
this company that I work for now, I don't work for an agent. I actually work for the corporate side, which is great. I get a base salary. I get incentivized with way better commissions, and bonuses and things like that. So when given the tools to succeed and people around you that want to succeed and are willing to invest in you, there's no way that you can't do better than you already are. So I was like, I got to take this. This is it.
Right. There's something that I say a lot, and it's like there has to be a way to hire people that think like owners, right? Someone that
Yeah.
you bring onto the company and he claims it as part of his, rather than like he's just a cog in the wheel and he doesn't matter. Like many companies
Exactly,
make you
yeah.
feel like really good companies will make you
Yeah.
feel like an owner and like you're invested in them, you're a part of them, you want them to succeed so you can succeed. And it seems like Goosehead's definitely done that for you.
Yeah.
With the incentives. I mean, I see your online presence, and like I know what your company is. I know who you work for because you're proud of it. You're
Mm-hmm.
treating it like an owner. I think that's an
Yeah,
awesome thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in one way, they make me an owner. Like, in a way, like I work for my own book of business and I can continue to make money off that book of business, whether I go and move positions or I move states and I do something different. Like, I will always be given something that I just worked for. So, like, this was my first month live, and it was my first month where I'm like, all right, this is it, And it was a little nerve wracking. I had no idea what I was going to do in order to make my goals. And I didn't hit my goal. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I need to probably be a little bit more hungry and try to drive in more leads, but I've been so focused on like realtors or loan officers, things like that, setting up meetings now that I might not look the greatest on paper to some of these people or some of the other agents I'm competing against. But in like 6 months and a year, when I've gone golfing with Giovanni and 3 officers, I got 2 loan officers he can close with. We're constantly doing this business, and that's going to be so much more fruitful. So I'm trying to take a slower approach at it, a friendly, familiar approach, and be there to last a long time. I don't want to like burn out. And just like,
setting yourself up for the long term, which is
Yeah.
smart.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now. So it's a little bit, I'm hungry. I want to make some money. You feel me?
Yeah, dude. I mean, hell, that's the same boat that I think everyone around our age is on, right?
Exactly.
Whether they're finding their calling, or they've already found it and they're pursuing it, dude. Right now, it's that time of age where it's all about the grind. You just got to figure it out and be hungry for it. And often, like working a 9 to 5 or working a corporate job has a negative connotation attached to it, but it seems like there's always gray areas, right? Nothing's ever white and black. You can always get that corporate job and have it be invested into yourself, which kind of brings up my other question. Right now, you're doing insurance. You're learning all these skills. You're creating your network. Do you have any other plans in the future as far as becoming a business owner or starting up some sort of business?
Yeah, so like I think about that probably on a daily basis because I'm one of those people that will think of
I'm not surprised.
I will think of 8 of the best ideas you've ever heard. And I'm gonna sit there all day and I'm gonna be like, all right, this is how I'm gonna make it work. Now I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna spit this to my wife, and this is gonna be the idea that makes us rich. I do it every day, and I'm sure my wife is over there rolling her eyes as she can hear me right now. I kid you not. I do that shit nonstop because I'm always like, I gotta get rich, So I definitely have thought about it. I don't know if you guys know, but I just purchased my first home.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, we closed just about like a little under 4 months ago. So beginning of March. And it was something that we had talked about for a while. And we really ended up getting lucky, to say the least, with the corona actually hitting it. I'm going to be honest with you, kind of helped me out and made sure that we got there. But, things played along that got us here. And it's opened my mind to like, all right, what's next? Because I've accomplished such a big goal that there's some people out there that haven't been able to get to yet. And I'm just very grateful for the opportunities that I've been able to, take advantage of. and use to my benefit to be able to get this house, especially like with my wife doing everything that she does, being that co-team that we need to be. But dude, I want to like flip houses. This whole building a house process and watching it be built from the ground up has been a wild experience, and being like, well, what if we put the TV there? What if we did this? And it just like, you're like, oh, what if we would have done this nonstop? And now I'm like doing stuff to the house, and I'm always watching home makeovers.
Yeah.
So I want to get my real estate license, or have her get it. I want to buy the house. I want to flip the house. I want to insure the next buyer, and just keep it like an ongoing process, so I could do literally all of those things.
And I want to bring something up too, because you mentioned your past of it being hard, and then I just want to, whoever's listening, just be reassured that you didn't just step into a nice built from the ground up house.
No.
From my understanding, you guys were living in a pretty small apartment, right?
Yeah. So the last apartment we were living in was maybe like 1,000 square feet, and it was pretty expensive. It was a little over 1,000. It was less than 1,100 though. And it was a little tiny because like we've got our daughter, and at the time, shit, up until now, she was like 3. She just turned 4 in February. So right before we moved in. So it was like tiny and it was confined. But when we first had my daughter, like when she was born, I was living off Twain and Swenson in the Maryland Parkway apartments. And dog, I'm telling you, it was the most hood shit I've ever dealt with. Like that was some living. So it's definitely been a rise, like having to make those steps and know how to play the long game, because we know we were going to have a kid. So we rented a cheap apartment so we could stack up for baby's needs. While we had our daughter, we moved into a house with roommates just to save some money. So we were doing whatever we could that sometimes we didn't want to do because we knew it was going to be better in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. I live in downtown, so I understand a lot of characters.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an interesting life, and I like it because like you can see all the transients, and I mean, they're the most entertaining people to watch. Like you being on a podcast, you being a DJ, like you being a realtor, you guys have to enjoy watching people, like, because they're so funny. Like without them noticing that you're watching them, they're just them, and it's like a little movie. Every person is in their own world,
Especially here in Vegas, man. The amount of shows that we get just by walking, down the strip or downtown, man.
Down Fremont,
Endless
like you could be a local
dude.
and still have a great time. Exactly. It's free.
Yeah.
You just walk down, just grab your tall can and just walk down the strip,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I got a homie that he comes over here a little bit, or I'll be posting a picture like in my courtyard, and I'll be laying on a hammock, and he calls it paradise in the trenches.
Hey, I mean, you have a hammock. I didn't have a hammock, so that's definitely paradise.
I get lucky. Yeah, no, I definitely understand with having the little small confined space. You're probably looking at about half of my space right now.
Yeah, dude. No, literally, our apartment was a little studio. Like it was tough, dude. We had a little couch in there, but when we had this newborn, she was there for like 2 weeks before we moved into a 1-bedroom apartment. But like the most size we ever had was 1,300 square feet between just the 3 of us. And then all of a sudden we're moving into a house that's 2,500 square feet and it's mine. It's like, this is some surreal shit.
Yeah.
And
yeah. That apartment was about 1,200 more square feet than what I got right now.
Yeah. Damn. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But hey, it's basically
it's
on this. Very cozy. But it's basically the same thing as you. Where it's like you go into somewhere. Is it living the dream right now? Obviously not. But you sometimes you have to do things to set yourself up for the long run in the future to allow, to save up the money for the kid like you or whatever the case may be, you kind of just, it's some of those sacrifices that you make to do those things in the long run. So I definitely, it's commendable for sure.
Right.
Yeah, because like
sacrificing the comfort for now so that you could be in a better position later on. It's often very difficult to pass up.
Yeah, no, sometimes it's hard because it's like, you'll go look at these apartments or like shit, I just bought a house, but like that whole house buying process, like I loved walking into different houses and like watching the models. Be like, yeah, that's the one I want. And then you look at the price, you're like, that ain't the one I want today. Not today. I'll be back though. I'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like,
yeah, I just have a question real quick, and not to bring the conversation backwards, but
no, go ahead.
You had that you had your unique experience growing up.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck did you stay out of trouble, like in high school and all that?
So I really never stayed out of trouble. Like
stay low key.
I did stay low key.
Hey, maybe
I don't
that's
know
what
if you
it
noticed.
was.
Like I don't know, because I wasn't around every environment I've ever been. I grew up in. It was very, very quick going. And when I say quick going, it's like relationships didn't last. You know, like people are group home members are here for 6 months and they're not. You know, so you kind of build detachable groups. So I was never one, especially when we got to high school, that like I'm sure I was known, like I'm sure you guys knew of me and I knew of you guys, you know, but like we just didn't click, you know, we just didn't hang out. And it was just me probably being more like tighter knit with my smaller community, you know, who I still fuck with today. You know, we're all spread apart, but we still fuck with them, you know.
That's dope.
But yeah, no, I was always in trouble though, dude. Always in trouble.
I wouldn't have wanted to been my friend back in high school. I was an absolute fucking prick.
Dude, I mean, I was too. Like I hear rumors all the time that I was like an asshole, and like I'm sure the list goes on, you know. But like when I got adopted, the woman that adopted me, Mark's mom, she like kind of just kept it very simple. She was like, listen, like there's a couple of rules. You can't hurt my kids or my animals, of course, and you got to be respectful, you know. And having somebody take that risk, I should say, on you is interesting, because it's like you feel devoted to that person and you kind of want to be like a dog. You're like, yes.
You want to make them proud.
Exactly. I want to make them proud. I want to make them happy. I don't want them to regret their decision at the end.
And you were very conscious of that mindset back then when she was telling you that, like you were conscious
I was.
of it.
Oh yeah, because like so backpedal just right before I got adopted. Right, I was in the group home here in Vegas up until my freshman year of high school. As soon as freshman year of high school, we had closed the program here in Nevada because it didn't have the funding. Everybody was going broke because of the recession. So I got shipped up to San Francisco in the group home there. So when I get there, I have nobody. Like, I mean, I don't know anybody. And I wasn't trying to be like who I really was, because I was nervous. Like, I had never met these people. So I was trying to be a different person than who I was. And it just made things even worse because it's not who I was. And it was just like, it was a growing process where all I wanted to do was get home to home. Like, because I've got a little brother, we're half brothers, things like that. Like, I had things that I wanted to come back to. And when I had that opportunity, it was like, I don't want to fuck this up, you know?
Yeah.
So I always kept that mindful. Like, I was always doing shit that I probably shouldn't have been doing in high school, like smoking and, you know, little fights here and there. But it was nothing like, I'm gonna go join a gang, or I'm gonna go rob a bank, or, you know, like, or fucking with like any hard drugs that unfortunately a lot of people got caught up into.
Yep.
And
plenty.
That's the one that I'm the most grateful for. Like, I could have gone to jail and probably learned my lesson, but there are some things that I'm glad that I never touched. And I'm sad. Like, I think about it and I get a little sad, dude, you know? So that's the reason why I stayed out of trouble. If I did.
Yeah. For, you know, a couple old friends of ours, you know, not worth mentioning their names, but they're either there's a lot of them that are either dead or sitting in prison right now because of those choices of fucking with the hard drugs.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting, man. I remember, like, I have one very distinct memory of you from one of the many parties that we'd see each other at. And I remember, like, sitting there, and I think you had a beer in your hand. And I just remember being drugged out of my damn mind at that moment. I think I was like, I had just finished like snorting some ecstasy or something, dude. And like, I had this blue snot coming out of my nose, and no, I was not hallucinating. It was just so bad, man. And like, you probably don't remember that moment. Like, for me, like, I remember that moment, having that conversation with you. and seeing you as someone who's crossing the line as far as, straight edge and like breaking the rules a little bit, underage drinking, going to these late night parties, but
Yeah.
not being the fool having blue snot coming out of his nose. and for me, that kind of like always like, I don't know, there's always been like this memory of like, okay, if I'm going to do something bad, I'm not going to be that person that goes way overboard. Or I'm not going to be that person who goes like all the way. Needless to say, I definitely did go all the way with certain things, but oh no, just a small little memory. Like I think we're at Christina Grasso's party or something. Like I don't know, man. It's a while ago, but
Hey, how did you meet Mark?
So we actually went to Our Lady together. So I went there the 7th grade to 8th grade, and I shit you not, it was pure coincidence that I linked up with him. I was bored when I came back from San Francisco for my birthday. I thought I had more time than I did in town. So I was like, yo, bro, like, let me come through. Like, what are you doing? And Mark, was like, I'm chilling or whatever. So I rolled through, like, literally on some fucking rollerblades. I hit a mission for a good 5 miles to get to this fool's house. I swam in his pool for like 20 minutes. And as he walked in, I had only met his mom like once or twice. And she was like, yeah, we'll adopt him. Like she had to confirm with her husband and shit, but yeah, with her ex-husband, Big Mark. But yeah, it was definitely such a weird and surreal feeling. And that's another reason why like I was a little bit more to a T, with my behavior than I would have been in past years, because I'm like, yo, like didn't even know me and took the risk. Like, yeah, like I'm good people. They know that, so, I wanted to kind of keep that pride myself, but that's how I ended up linking, and they ended up adopting me. So
yeah, I can't imagine that, like being a parent and, bringing in, especially at that age, right? Like a 16-year-old or 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Bringing that into your family. It's like such a gamble.
Yeah, I had just turned 16 because I was trying to pass my permit test and I couldn't do it. So I remember I was 16, and it was weird because like the process took maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I flew back to my group home and I was like, yo, I'm moving. And they were like, the fuck you are. And I was like, nah, I'm moving. And then the trick was I had to like convince my dad, this ex-Marine, that I find out now it wasn't as straight as he says he was with everything, but he was willing to let me go. And I loved it. I was so happy. Like, it was so cool to go to a public high school.
Yeah.
Like, I was stoked on all the little shit, It was cool.
Hey, that's dope, man. I respect the fuck of your, like, just your whole story, It's
I appreciate it.
Very admirable, and like it's very inspiring in its own way, because a lot of people would have just completely melted in that type of just getting thrown from Vegas to a San Francisco to whatever. You can get caught up in a group home and stuff like that. You could have very easily fucked it all off in high school and just continuously as you turn 18 and beyond. So it's like, I just want to let you know that like I respect the fuck out of you, man. Like it's definitely
I appreciate
a cool
it, man. Thank you.
Story.
It means a lot. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's
with someone like what would be some advice like to say, we have someone that's in a very similar situation watching this right now that kind of has like a similar path to you. What would be your advice to, to kind of get to quote unquote out the trenches or to just stay on a good path? What would be some of your advice?
Wow, I've never actually been asked this question, so that's cool. Honestly, it's tough because like every story is going to be different. Everybody's personal ways that they got out are going to be different. But the one thing that's always going to stay the same with every individual that made it minorly successful or to the big leagues, and they're balling right now, is they bet on themselves. Like at the end of the day, like they took that extra step and just bet on themselves. Like I knew damn well coming down to Vegas, from this really structured like Catholic group home, coming down to Vegas and like public school, like I knew that I could come down and like kind of ruin the progress I'd made, but it was like, no, I'm gonna bet on myself. Like my dad kind of threw me out, in my opinion. this group home saying I'm not going to be able to do it, living out of a group home. And so I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna see what happens, So I bet on myself, and that was something that I forgot that I used to do recently. Sorry, my cat trying to take over the show. But I bet on myself with it. Like that is the one thing that I will always say is because your odds better than anybody else. And I could have fucked my own situation off, like you said, a million times over, almost every single day. And it's lucky that I didn't. Let me say that. It is definitely lucky. And I think that happened for a reason. And that gives me more push now than ever, because I'm like, sometimes I look back and I'm like, damn, I'm lucky. Like my homie Mike isn't here with us anymore. Or like Josh, and I know that we were all close with Josh. Yeah. So that it's just like, we're lucky to like live this experience. So just run with what you have now. Because the worst thing that's going to happen is you end up in the same situation, with nothing. So if you got nothing, bet on yourself all day, every day, dog. All day, every day.
That's dope. Did you ever find, did you ever find like yourself, like going, I'm sure that, and this might be a dumb question, but did you ever find yourself going like sitting in your head, like with such dark ass thoughts, or were you always kind of like more on the positive side of everything?
Nah, so I was a lot more on the positive side, being in high school, being fresh out of high school, especially like having my own apartment, things like that. I've been always more on the positive side. But like, I will stress this to anybody that will listen to this, is you can be doing a very good job of that and put yourself in a toxic situation. And when I say a toxic situation, like I don't mean a relationship or anything like that. It could be, you say it's a job. Like for me, speaking from my experience, it was going to this 9-to-5 job where I sat at the same desk for 4 years, and I never stayed anywhere longer than 2 years. And that job I stayed at, I did a lot more than just sitting at a desk, and I sat somewhere that I didn't enjoy without taking the risk on myself. Right. I got comfortable. I was playing it safe, and I'm thankful for it because it got me this house. But at the same time, I feel like I lost a little bit of me, because it wasn't me. That's not who I was. I'm not this normal desk job sitting guy that is only here to sell insurance, because insurance is already boring, so I felt like I lost a little bit of me. So if anybody's ever listening to this and is like, damn, like I'm not the happiest in this situation, like, what can I do? And you dwell on this situation. Like, is this a good thing? Even if you feel like you make good money, take that risk. You can always make more money. It's not always about the money. So I'm just, that's it.
I like it.
I think even too, I've mentioned it before, but I found some of my most happiness not having as much money. So I feel like it kind of falls in line to what you're saying. Like you can make that good money, but at the end of the day, if you're not happy with yourself, fucking life sucks.
Yeah, dude. Literally,
it could just be fucking miserable.
Yeah, like I mean, like all my issues were taken care of. Like I didn't have to worry about like money or clothes or like, am I gonna have a roof over my head? That kind of shit. It was just like mentally, I was just like, I fucking hate my life, and it's hard to like kind of get out of that. And people think it's just because their life is so bad, and it's like normally it's a situation that you're in. You just kind of like open up and look at your situation. Like what else? What is good for me? What is not good for me? And break those down and just try to like focus on it. Cause like every day's a struggle. There's some people out there with some serious mental illness. There's some people out there that are just depressed, clinical depression, and every day's a battle. So even for people that are me, that, like I said, through all that, I was the happiest. And then I get stuck at this one place that I just didn't want to be, that was my killer. So you never know what the instance is going to be, but it's not always a bad thing to go through that. It can be awakening,
Yeah. I think what a lot of people don't realize, it's like being broke is hard.
Being rich is hard.
Getting rich is hard. Pick your battle. Which one you want to fucking go for? Exactly, either one is going to be hard. Trying to get rich or being broke. They're both hard. Yeah. Pick your fucking route.
Right.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Something, the quote that you answered with earlier, as far as bet on yourself, that even
Mm-hmm.
goes into play there, where you're 4 years working this 9 to 5, you're hating yourself, right? You're like, sure, you're making all these physical gains, right? But like
Yeah.
emotionally and mentally, you're slaving yourself away, and you're extremely
Yeah.
unhappy. um and it's very cool there that you were able to bet on yourself, that you will do better, that you will find something that will still satisfy those physical needs, but also heal you on that mental and emotional needs as well.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. No,
something
definitely.
that I think often, like whenever you're in that place, right, where you're extremely unhappy, you're stressed the hell out, you hate your life day in, day out, but there's this society pressure that you need to make a certain amount of money. So you stay at this job making this certain amount of money. Meanwhile, you're killing yourself inside. And often they
Yeah.
think that's the only way. It's either that or you're homeless, but there's always that third way if you bet on yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we weren't here to pay bills.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Pay to live. Like, it's some bullshit. Not any other animal does that. And like, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's fucked. All right. Like, we didn't ask for that shit, and here we are having to make this bullshit work. So we gonna deal with it the best way we can. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
facts.
That's so
Like
interesting.
fuck it.
I've never heard anyone say that. Like, no other animal pays to live. And it's like, just kind of show like the cost of society. Like, here we are,
Yeah.
like everyone's biggest stressor is like success, chasing success, monetary gains.
Exactly.
And innately, like, that was never a thing. Like, it's
Nah,
fine
dude.
that it's probably such a big stressor because it's such a new thing to our human evolution, like learning how to fund ourselves,
Live.
right? Like,
Yeah. No, exactly.
yeah,
Like you went from having to like, damn, I've got to go hunt food too.
yeah.
Damn, I gotta go hit the street right now because if I don't hit the street with a sack, I am not eating dinner. Like two completely different worlds. You know what I'm saying? Like two different kinds of hunting, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's funny, man.
yeah,
Well, shit, man, we got one more question for you, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And definitely a
cool.
pleasure hearing your, like I said, I find your story just super admirable, and it's dope because, like I said before, you could have just gone a whole different way in life, and you fucking just persevered through all of that shit. So, hats off to you for that.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And about a 60-second response, tell us, what does success mean to you?
When's this timing down? Don't tell me you just started.
Tick,
Whenever
tick,
you answer, the
tick.
time starts. Just about a 60
Um,
seconds response, give or take.
and it's a success to me.
Yeah, what does success mean to you?
Okay. So if I was to sit back and really contemplate what I think success is it's going to be a little bit about you as an individual and what you can do for the world and yourself and your family, your immediate family, as well as, that net worth that everybody's chasing is the best way I can explain it. Because everybody wants to be rich at the end of the day and not have one money problem. But along that way, you can always lose that family. So what one person considers rich is they've got family. The other person considers it being financially stable for the rest of your life. You got to find a proper medium, and that's your success. Can you be happy with $200,000 and a completely healthy family with kids and a dog, or do you have to have that $1,000,000 and be alone and just do whatever your vice is? So find a median.
That's a very
Always
gray
find.
answer. I like that, man. It's like often, like I said, it's people like we often think in black and whites. That's a very,
Yeah.
very good answer.
I
Yeah,
think
that
it's
was dope.
important to sit back and just focus on the medial, on the medium. Everybody's either far right or far left, or there's red and there's blue, there's black and there's white. Like everything is on the complete polar opposites. And even with people's like opinions, the truth is always directly in the middle. When there's like a story being told, there's three truths. So try to follow that third truth a little bit more. And I think that by sitting back and looking at the gray a little bit in any topic in life, whether it be money to finances to economy or whatever it is, the gray area is always the answer, in my opinion.
Follow
Works
the
for me.
gray.
Follow the gray.
Follow the gray.
That's what I do. That's what I'm gonna be doing. That's my new motto. Follow the gray.
Gray is the new green, baby. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Right? Exactly.
50 Shades of
Exactly.
Gray. Love it.
Right? Definitely, guys.
All
But I
right,
appreciate
everybody.
you guys having me on here.
Yep, of
Thank you.
course.
Yeah, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure.
We got Joshua Herrick. If you're in Vegas, get your insurance. Get insurance regardless from him. The best in town. I said it. Giovanni said it. We all said it. This is episode whatever it is of the Independent Mind podcast. Tune in next Friday. I am Mixwell. That's Giovanni. That's Joshua. Stay hungry. Stay focused. Peace.
Peace.
Guys. Have a good one.